Welcome back to another episode of the Breakthrough Lab podcast. Today, we're talking about how to deepen your connection with your intuition. And this episode is being created because we actually had a question come about how to make decisions, better decisions, more quickly, more intuitively. And so we wanted to discuss this for you so that you can go about that in your life. And maybe if you're feeling like you are currently disconnected from your intuition, or like you can't really discern your intuition from feeling fear and anxiety. Like maybe you think that you are listening to your intuition, but you are maybe thinking, what if that's just my anxiety speaking? Or you are following what you think is your intuition, but it is your anxiety. It is your fear, your baggage. Beyond that, you might just have a hard time making decisions at all. Or if you do make them, maybe you're second guessing what they are. Maybe you're second guessing them after you make them.
Or maybe you just go with whatever everyone else says. Like you just want everyone else to make the decision because you hate making decisions because you're not good at making them. You don't actually feel like you know what you want at any given time. Or this sometimes shows up in a very deep way, such as just not knowing what direction to go in your life. Maybe you're at a crossroads and you're staring down two paths and they're both completely different. They'll have completely different implications on your life. And you're just thinking, I don't know which way to go. And I know where I'm at isn't the right place. I'm feeling unfulfilled or uninspired. And you just need a way to get more in touch with yourself so that you can take the right path for you. And the right path, maybe I should reframe and say the better path, the one that's more in alignment. Because I think we get hung up on doing the right thing, and yet the use of the word better is very intentional.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually just saw on Threads, the only social media that I'm using right now, somebody had posted that exact same sentiment, that there's sort of we need to be more comfortable with letting go of making the right choice because there is no right choice.
Very true. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we get better at making better decisions more quickly by tapping into our intuition? So the first thing to know about intuition is to, I don't know, maybe bust a myth about intuition. Some of us think that when we receive divine guidance, that the angels start to sing and the heavens open up above and there's a light and you just feel this, I don't know, inspiration. Yes, this is what I meant to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen. I think, we'll be lucky if we experience something like that in our lives. And that's not generally how intuition shows up. In fact, intuition is usually very much the opposite in that it has no charge. When you are truly experiencing a moment of divine intervention, if you will, it normally comes to you in the form of a download, something that you receive and you just all of a sudden know. Mm-hmm. Like everyone's had that moment in their life where they're doing something and then all of a sudden they just know that something is going to happen, or they just have a feeling to look up in the moment. This actually reminds me of a story that someone shared with me about how they were at a family get together. Everybody was in the backyard and he was in the room with his youngest son, who was not super young, but younger. And he was just chilling on the bed, listening to a podcast while his son was playing independently with like a puzzle or cars or something. And all of a sudden, there was no feeling really attached to it. And when I say no feeling, it like there wasn't a feeling of fear or excitement or, the heavens opening up. He literally just had this thought, this like gut tug, if you will, that he should take out one of his AirPods. And as soon as he did, he heard a strange sound. And as soon as he looked, his son had actually put something in his mouth and he was choking on it. If you were to ask this person, it is so easy to really just chalk this up to good
Just,
luck.
yeah, luck of the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And what we need to understand about ourselves is that we are so much more than just what we perceive with our conscious minds. Our unconscious mind is processing millions upon millions of information at any given second. And one of those things that he may have processed without knowing it, that his unconscious mind picked up on, is actually what caused him to have that feeling or the thought of, hey, I should take out my AirPod right now in this moment. And that's what I mean by, usually when we do have an intuition, when we're connected, it's not really something that you would think is so inspiring. It's this knowing, it's that gut instinct in your stomach of, I should do this right now. This is the right choice for me in this moment.
Yeah, that story is a really good example of how intuition works, because when he took out he said it was the AirPods from his ears, it wasn't like he was in a state of fear or like sudden shock or realization of anything. He just had this intuitive knowing that he should take the thing out right now. And that's an important distinction. With intuitive knowing, there is no like charge behind it. There's no emotional charge. There's no he wasn't in a state of fear. There's no excitement happening. It's just flat.
In fact, if you feel a charge, then you might want to just slow down a little bit and re-examine, because more than likely that's actually your conscious mind, not the unconscious mind picking up on it.
Yeah. And when you're in that state, step back and don't, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I would caution you of making big decisions in that state where you're not sure what to do.
You're emotionally charged. And as we know, sometimes it's difficult to make unbiased decisions when you are feeling emotional. Another example of how this can show up, something very similar happened to me when I was younger. I had lots of issues with pain and depression and just overall not feeling great. And I was searching for answers. I would go to doctors, chiropractors, specialists, massage therapists. I tried medications. I mean, you name it. I was going down every rabbit hole until finally I went to go get my wisdom teeth removed, of all things. And I ended up with a dry socket. And when I went to the dentist who did the procedure, I had that feeling that, hey, this is not the right person for me. I don't appreciate the way I'm being treated. I went and saw another doctor that a friend recommended because she had just had to have like an emergency. She had just had an actual emergency surgery. And so I was like, okay, this guy will probably know what he's doing. He's an actual MD. So I went to see him, following my gut. And he helped me through figuring out whatever I needed to figure out. I really appreciated it. And I started just telling him, I was like, thank you. I got my wisdom teeth removed because I've just been having like TMJ issues and I have so much pain. I've seen so many doctors. And he just stares at me and says, well, I can tell you just by looking at you that you'd be a great candidate for jaw surgery. And I was just like, And he's like, yeah, I can just see that there are things going on just from taking a look at your mouth and the structure of your face. And guess what? He was right. I went to see another specialist just to kind of confirm, and I had airway issues. The reason I was in so much pain wasn't just the TMJ issues that were going on, but also the airway issues. The thing is, though, in that moment that he told me that, I knew that this was going to be the right path forward. I knew that as soon as I saw somebody else that they would confirm. And I remember when I went to my family to tell them, hey, I'm going to be doing this intervention, they all tried to talk me out of it. They were like, are you sure? And there was absolutely nothing that they could tell me that would convince me that this wasn't the right path, because I just knew it was. Can't explain it any other way. I was really flat on it. I just had this like knowing that this is the right path. And guess what? That surgery saved my life. But because before I had that surgery, I was hanging on by a very, very, very fine thread because I wasn't sleeping. I was in a lot of pain all the time. I had headaches. I would wake up and I would cry. I would go home and I would cry. It was pretty rocky. This surgery saved my life. This surgery gave my life back. The surgery helped me to be able to think again, get out of the survival mode and actually have the energy to think about thriving. And honestly, that's what set me on this path. This is the power that intuition can have when you have this connection with yourself where you can just know. And I'm telling you, it's not emotional. It's literally like, I know my name is Michelle. No one can talk me out of knowing my name is Michelle because I just know that to be truth. And when you can tap into your intuition in that way, especially when these big things come up, it helps you feel so much more empowered because you can walk confidently on your path, knowing that what you're doing is the right thing to do for you.
And when you came to that conclusion about getting the jaw surgery, you weren't like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. What if this isn't the right decision, right? You just knew.
There was the only time I felt that was probably right before the surgery because I was like, oh, snap. But, I wasn't actually scared. I didn't feel a fear. It's like I knew everything was going to be okay. And it was conscious mind saying, hey, aren't you supposed to be nervous about this? I mean, you're going to go for surgery and it's a really major surgery. I'd never had anything like that before. And neither had anyone else in my family at that point. I mean, this surgery was even more, according to the doctor who did it, he was like, this is even more, it takes even longer than open heart surgery. Yeah, it was a pretty major surgery that I had. But I didn't have any fear because I had this sense of calm and peace inside knowing this is going to help me. And the process to work up to that was a little bit over a year. I had to get braces for the second time in my life. The surgery actually happened with the braces on it. I had to keep the braces on even afterwards. And the entire time that I was still feeling this way leading up to the surgery, I had this hope in front of me. And I had this knowing that this is all going to work out for me soon. I'm going to feel so much better. I 100% know and believe that if I hadn't had that surgery in that time, I don't know if I'd be here right now. It was that rocky. It was actually that touch and go for me for some time.
I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad I trusted in myself. And that's the one thing that I had always had was some sort of interconnection. Not that I always knew how to find it or listen to it, because that's not what I'm saying either. It's just about when it does come up, knowing how to recognize it.
Yeah. I think back to when I struggled with anxiety several years ago. I would, of course, a lot of health anxiety stuff. I would find anything to be anxious about. And it was really difficult for me. I never really, I guess I might say that I was connected more or less with my intuition, but not to the degree that I am now and have been for years. Like you, and I remember there was a time that I got bit by a stray cat. You know how cats are. Like you pet them and they're like, yes, it feels so good. And then suddenly they're like, no, bite, Well, that happened to me. And
I did not know that. That's actually pretty intense.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
a stray cat.
It wasn't that bad, honestly.
Oh, good.
But yeah, so in my anxious state of mind, I went right to, oh, this is a stray cat. What if he had rabies? Oh no, I have rabies. And so I called the ER or whatever, urgent care. And I told them what happened. And they said that I should come in. And I was like, oh no. But the reason that they said wasn't because they thought I had rabies. It was because stray cats, a lot of bacteria, big chance for it to be infected. So I went in and I did what they told me. I scrubbed it and stuff at home with soap. But when I went in, I was still really scared that I was going to have rabies and die. And in my logical mind, there was no reason to suspect that this cat had rabies. It was behaving normally. I had seen it around for a long time. And turns out I would continue to see it alive after this event months later. So obviously I didn't get rabies from this cat. I'm here. But when I was in the urgent care, the nurse was explaining to me how there have been like no cases of rabies in cats in my area for like 40 years or something like that, maybe longer. And there's just that she had full certainty that I don't have rabies. And then she proceeded to explain to me what it would be like to get the shots if she did suspect that I had rabies, like if it was like a bat or something. And that kind of scared me back into like thinking more rationally. But of course, the way that I came to finally convince myself wasn't actually even with that. Because if I did still think that I had rabies, then I would have gone through with the shots, which is like one of the most painful things you can get, apparently. And in your stomach, I think, which is really messed up.
Gosh.
Yeah. But somebody told me to listen to the voice within, not the voice in your head that's afraid. Because the voice within that knows, there, deep down, I always say this, I think deep down, we always know what's really going on inside. Mm-hmm. Even if we won't admit that to ourselves. And deep down, when I checked in with my intuition in my gut, deep down, I knew I didn't have rabies and that I was being completely ridiculous. And it just proves the point. Anytime there's this emotional charge to what you think you probably don't know. It's probably not real. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like paranoid that your girlfriend's cheating on you. So you're checking her phone all the time or you're looking through her DMs or something like that. It's going to be real embarrassing when you get caught for the however many 50th time you've done it. And she hasn't been cheating on you. And you might be listening to this and thinking, well, one time I did do that and my girlfriend was cheating on me. But you know what? A broken clock is correct 2 times a day. That doesn't mean that was your intuition speaking. That was your anxiety speaking. You just got lucky and found it. I mean, well, lucky or unlucky, but that anxiety just happened to be right. But that's not intuition. And we want to make a clear distinction here. The intuition is flat. It's like it's non-emotionally charged. Like Michelle said, the sky is blue. That's just what it is. You know it. There's no hesitation about whether or not this is the quote unquote right decision or the truth of the situation. You just know it.
And when you get really good at recognizing what that inner voice within sounds like, it will help you make decisions more quickly.
Yeah.
And just think about people in your life that you perceive to be successful. And they are so confident. They don't dilly-dally. They don't waver. They're not fickle. They make choices and they are quick to make their decisions. And then they're very slow to change their minds. So you might want to write that down. Successful people make decisions quickly and they change their minds slowly. Like as an example, let's just look at the world of real estate. When you have somebody who's a savvy real estate investor, they can walk into a home, just walk into the front and know all of a sudden, yes, I'm going to buy this, or absolutely not. This is not going to be a good investment. How do they do that? There's a real, they've done studies about intuition and science can't quite explain it 100% because you can say it's about the patterns and about recognition and about, yes, it's about that and the unconscious mind and really understanding. If you understand yourself, you're not just your conscious mind. You're not even just your unconscious mind. You're also your higher conscious mind. So you've got 3 different aspects of yourself. You've got the one that's calling all the shots, that's your conscious mind. You've got the one that's in the background doing all the work and actually running everything in your body and your decisions, and that's your unconscious mind. And then you've got this higher conscious version of yourself. And some of us may think of that as source or your angels or God, this part of you that's connected to the divine, to something bigger than yourself, because we all are connected. And your unconscious mind has a direct communication channel to that higher conscious mind. That's why the way to actually improve your intuition is to strengthen the connection between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. And when you do that, the unconscious mind has a direct connection to the higher conscious mind. Think about that. It's like you're getting access to the gatekeeper of, hey, how do I get more downloads? How do I get more direction to know that I am on my greater path, that I am going the way that the direction that I want to go? So that's what you have to gain whenever you do this type of work, and why we're talking about this. And, it's helpful to understand that you're not just the part of you that talks to everybody every day or records podcasts or does sales calls. You are so, so much more than that.
Yeah.
And just to give you an even more comprehensive understanding of yourself and how you can make decisions, how you can tap into your intuition, how you can understand yourself better. In addition to having those three versions of yourself, the conscious, unconscious, and higher conscious, you also have 4 aspects of your being. You've got your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual bodies. Now, these aren't like actual bodies, like you have 4 bodies out there running around, but let's just think of them as 4 aspects of yourself, of your being. And the reason this is important is because things trickle down from the spiritual down into the mental, then down into our emotional, and ends up in the physical. Physical meaning not just your physical body, but physical manifestation, what you see as your reality created outside of you. So let's just think this through. If you have something trickle in from your spiritual body, think of being inspired, spirit, being inspired. You have an inspiration all of a sudden. Maybe it's a download that came from your intuition, from your higher self. Most of the times when we get an idea like this, we think, yes, I am so in alignment with this. Super awesome. That means that it is in alignment with your values. That means it is in alignment with your moral compass. And it's probably in alignment with your goals. Then that same piece of information trickles down into your mental body or more of your conscious realm. This is when you start to rationalize something. You might get a yes here. And if you do, that's great, because that means that you think that it's good for you, good for others, good for environment. It makes sense. If you get a no at this point, you've received the inspiration from the spiritual realm. It's gone through your spiritual body, came to the mental, and you're like, oh no, then you may have a logical or you may have a conflict with the logic around this. Like, does this make sense? Can it happen? Does it work? Is it actually achievable? Is it realistic? Or it could be that you don't think it's a good thing, right? Maybe it's not going to be good for you, so you're not going to do it. Or it's going to be bad for someone else, so you're not going to do it.
So what does it feel like to get a yes or a no in this mental realm?
It's going to be very intellectual, super intellectualized. Still not very emotional necessarily. It's going to be more in the realm of limiting thoughts, limiting decisions, limiting beliefs. Now, let's just say that, again, you get a yes. So you've gotten a yes from the inspiration, yes from the mental. Now you get to the emotional. This is the point where most of us get a hell no. Because let's think about it. What normally stops us from doing something that we're excited about doing?
Fear.
We think this is a great idea. I'm excited about it. It makes sense. I have nothing holding me back. And yet, normally it's a combination of, oh, this isn't going to work for me. I have fear around it. And you start making up reasons why it won't work for you.
Yeah.
So if you think about this as an energy trickling down, if it gets a hell no in the emotional body and what comes next is physical, can it ever really manifest?
Well, no.
No. And that's why a lot of the times we don't manifest the things that we want in our lives.
Because of emotional baggage?
Because of emotional or mental baggage, because it could have stopped as well in the mental, right? So if it gets stopped there, or at best, you get like this very distorted version of it.
Right. Yeah.
Where you get a little bit of it showing up, but maybe it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
So it's just to kind of paint a picture of what that looks like, what that feels like, what that might even sound like in your head when you're trying to think of making a decision. These are the places that where you can get stuck. And a lot of the time it is because of baggage.
So if we are listening to our intuition and we're thinking, okay, it's gone, it feels good for my higher self. It feels good in my head, but emotionally it's a hell no. Does this mean that our intuition is telling us not to do this thing, or what?
What this means, if you get a hell no at this stage,
in the emotional,
at the emotional stage, that means you have baggage, mostly in the area of fear. By releasing that baggage, if you were to release that baggage and then you still got a hell no somewhere, then you have an idea that it has nothing to do. Remember when we talked about, hey, sometimes it could be your conscious mind, right? It can also be baggage speaking if you have some of these feelings.
Like limiting beliefs or...
So clearing those up is going to help you have that clearer channel to your intuition.
So just to clarify for the listeners and for me a little bit too, if you get a hell no, whether that's in your mental or emotional body, does that mean that your intuition is telling you hell no?
Absolutely not. Because if the intuition is coming from that spiritual body, which is connected to your higher self, that's going to feel like a knowing. Once you start processing in your mind, turning it around, you might start to come up with all the reasons why it's not possible. Whether it's a limiting belief, a limiting decision, or emotional baggage. And I think this is where most of us get stuck, because sometimes I think we experience our intuition speaking to us. But because we have all this baggage in these other aspects of our bodies, it never makes it to physical manifestation. We don't actually act upon it. We don't listen to it.
So maybe the distinction that is tripping me up is this hell no, because sometimes our intuition does tell us no. But I think that when it's a hell no, is that the distinction, that there's like a charge behind that?
Yes, the charge for sure. If there's a charge behind the hell no, then that's when we want to examine it, because in that usually means either it's our conscious mind or baggage that is trying to talk us out of doing something. It's fear. If we remove the fear, then we would do it.
Whereas if you're just getting a clear no and there's no charge behind it.
And there's no charge behind it. Like,
that's your intuition.
I'm not going down that alleyway because I just have this gut feeling like I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because normally it's not a fear of going down an alley that keeps us from going down the alley. Or, we heard stories. I mean, I can't think of anything specifically, but just thinking back to like 9/11, and you would hear stories about people who were like, I didn't feel like I should go to work that day for some reason. I just didn't, or I felt like I shouldn't go on that flight. And it's not like they were like, I'm so scared of flying, I'm not going to go on the plane, or, I'm feeling fear and dread about work. It was just like, I just have this feeling that I shouldn't do this, and so I'm not going to. It doesn't even feel rational. There's no reason. I just feel this strong urge to not show up today.
Yeah.
And that saves some lives. So that's that. I'm so glad you're asking it, because I think, this is probably where a lot of us struggle sometimes, because when you get caught in the hell no, when you get caught in the charge of something, you're not thinking straight, right? You're in an emotional spot. There's a lot of charge behind it. And so we can't always trust that we're acting in an unbiased manner.
Okay, so if fear is the main thing that prevents people from listening to their intuition, fear, anxiety, whatever, what's the best way to go about removing that from the process so that it doesn't limit us?
So my favorite process that is just the easiest thing to do in the moment is the letting go process, which is as simple as it sounds. You allow yourself to feel the emotion. This also works for beliefs, by the way. If you have a limiting belief, a lot of the times there's feelings associated with that as well. And it means that you allow yourself to feel the emotion without labeling it, without judging it, just allowing it to exist. And pretty soon it'll just pass. And what's happening here is that you are literally releasing the emotion. Think of it as, this is a visual I want you to have. There is a boiling tea kettle, and it is making that whistling sound. It's making that whistling sound because the only place for all of that pent up steam and energy to come out of is through this tiny little spout. And so most of us live our lives with our emotions, just allowing them to escape sometimes through a little spout, either by talking about something, venting about it. We don't normally just take the lid off and allow it to all go. And the lid being your resistance to letting it go, just allowing yourself to feel it so that energy can escape. This is a great way to, not get emotions stuck, like when you're in the middle of something. A lot of us sometimes stuff those emotions down. So this is a great technique to not do that and just allow it to pass. Or it's also a great way to just get emotions that have been stuck to get unstuck.
Yeah. It's also common for people trying to do this or maybe even not trying to let go, to avoid the emotion, to distract themselves from it. The other distinction that I want to add to this is that you talked about how letting go, you allow yourself to feel the emotion, you sit with it and accept it, and then you watch it pass. The only distinction I want to add is that you let it pass without wanting to change it at all. That's where a lot of the resistance comes in, because like I've even recently been through some pretty intensely bad emotions. And, in doing this letting go work, I hate that I'm feeling these emotions. Hate it. They're awful. And yet I'm not trying to wish that they were any different. I'm not trying to make them different or, want to change them somehow. I'm just letting them come and dealing with it and sitting with it. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's so hard, but that's easier than keeping them for the rest of your life.
Choose your hard.
Yeah. Easier than letting those suppressed emotions dictate how your life plays out from here on out.
Yeah. And not allowing you to see things clearly and make decisions that are better for you, that are in alignment with who you are, because you just can't see it because they're sabotaging you.
Indeed.
The other way to go about releasing fear is to do something like just turning off the fire that's burning underneath the kettle, which would be to find the root cause by doing something like a breakthrough session and then doing a complete release of all the emotions. And in that case, it is a little bit less painless. And by less painless, I mean you don't actually have to feel the feelings in order to go through this process. So that's always an alternative and something that if you should want more information on, you can reach out to us. hello@breakthroughladpodcast.com. Another way to get better at making decisions is by strengthening the connection with your unconscious mind. I mentioned that earlier. And some ways that you can do this are by meditating, journaling, and also you can do things such as muscle testing. Many of us in this community know what that is. For those of you who don't know what it is a way to tap into your unconscious mind so that you can get a clear yes or a clear no. I invite you to read Power versus Force or to do a simple Google search on muscle testing to find out more.
Or The Body Code, another good book that explains it really well, I think.
Body Code. Mm-hmm.
It even gives you pictures of it too.
Mm-hmm. And another way to strengthen the connection with the unconscious mind is to get in the flow state. Like I think all of us have had an experience where we are able to get in the flow state, where we are so in the zone that we haven't even realized that an hour has gone by because you're just so into the moment and you're feeling good in that moment. Well, guess what? There is a way that you can manufacture going into the zone, and it's very, very simple. It is by going from your peripheral vision, which is a very focused way of seeing things, to going and allowing your vision to shift into peripheral vision. Try it right now. If you're in a safe space where you can take your attention off of what's in front of you for just a few moments, I want you to pick a spot right above eye level and just fix your eyes there and allow yourself to go into peripheral vision so that you see everything in your peripheral. If it helps, you can take your arms, put them beside you and wiggle your fingers so that you can see, make sure that you're seeing them. If you can see them, that means you are in that peripheral vision. Last step here is to make sure that your jaw is relaxed. Your tongue is resting at the top of your mouth. And just notice how good you feel. That's going to get you in a state that is much more relaxed, less in the fight or flight. And by being more relaxed, you can tap into your unconscious mind more easily, and you will be connected with it. This is another really great one that you can use for so many things. Like if you're experiencing any sort of anxiety or test, get yourself into this state and you will have a clear connection with everything that's stored in your unconscious mind. Answers will come to you, downloads, answers to questions you have.
This is great. This is great information. There is a question that we had from someone, and it was, let's say that you're faced with a difficult choice and you're trying to listen to your inner voice, but it feels like you're still split 50-50. Like part of you wants to do something and part of you wants something else.
That's a great question. You know, I would first start off by running through what we've already talked about, right? Are there any emotions that need to be released? Where are you feeling the resistance? Is it in the mental body? Is it in the emotional body? Kind of getting a gauge, getting a lay of the land so that you truly know, hey, it doesn't seem like there's any baggage here. It really feels like I have two very flat inner voices inside of me telling me to go either this way or that way. And this can happen sometimes. It's a different form of baggage. And it happens whenever you have inside of your neurology, built two parts. You even said it. A part of me feels like this. A part of me feels like that. Sometimes the parts are fueled by the underlying baggage that we have. And if you wipe out the baggage, then the parts go away. Other times you wipe out the baggage and the part is still there because it's just that ingrained. And when this happens, that's what it sounds like this question is geared towards. Like if you've already done all of the things, released all of the baggage and you're still having this, then there is a technique that helps you to integrate those two parts so that instead of having one, because you have to think about it like this, each part, when you have one, has their own agenda. It's like they're two different people inside of you with their own agendas, and they are both trying to do, the same thing. And when you're doing one thing, then the other part of you is like, oh, I hate doing that. But then when you're finally doing the other thing, then you feel the complete opposite. Mm-hmm. So if you're feeling this way, then that would be a parts integration. And that's absolutely something that we would be able to help you with as well.
Yeah. So if you have something like that, reach out to us once again. hello@breakthroughlandpodcast.com.
So another question that I've had before is like, well, what do I do right now? Like, I don't necessarily have the clear two-way communication with my unconscious mind. What can I do in the meantime if I'm forced to make a decision? And so it depends on the situation. Let's just say you're in a situation where you need to make a decision in front of somebody. They're depending on you. You're like in a face-to-face conversation. You can always say something like, hey, I'm going to need some time to think about that. or I need to talk to my team, or I need to talk to my spouse, or whatever it is. Can I get back to you tomorrow? And then you can go home and do whatever it is that you need to do, whether you want to get in the Hakalau state, whether you want to journal, whatever it is that you love to do, that you know you can get into that right mindset to really get more connected using some of the tips and techniques that we've talked about today. And then you can feel more prepared to make the decision. So don't feel like just because we're talking about, oh, you need to be able to make decisions quickly if you want to be successful, that you should not take your time if you haven't built that muscle yet. Because like, as Joshua said, we have built this up over years now. That doesn't mean that we don't have our moments where we get stuck in our baggage and can't move past
sure
it.
do. Mm-hmm.
We're just human, just like anyone else. So please make sure that you are taking that into account and just be real with somebody. Hey, I'm really going to have to think about that. There's some more information I'd like to look up before I give you a decision. Can we plan to meet back up, or can I get back to you later this week? I should know by Thursday. Whatever it is, feel okay with doing that as you're building up your muscle. So there you have it. These are the ways that you can deepen your connection with your intuition, all the while remembering why we want to do this in the first place. The reason we want to do this in the first place isn't just to make the decision, right? It's to really be congruent with who we are. It's to be truly authentic. It's to know and understand ourselves. And when we're able to tap into that, everything just seems so much more effortless in our lives. Things seem to line up for us. It's like we're living in a land of synchronicities. And who doesn't want more of that? So I do invite you to employ some of these strategies and tips, and would love to hear how it's going for you.